Hello there, gang, and welcome to Model Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk about the nerdy news that you need to know about. It's the only news that matters. It's good news. If you like what you see here and you want to support the show, you can do over on Patreon, where you get the second half of Good News, where I cover movies, video games, comic books, pro wrestling, and all points in between, including a little store tour that I did in Japan when I was going around the second-hand action figure stores. I found an insane little seam of crazy 90s Batman action figures that just... the nostalgia bomb was real. And how the heck did these things arrive in Japan and find themselves here almost 30 years after being released, still in minty fresh condition? I was tempted to buy the whole bunch. Nonetheless, though, I'm going to talk you guys through it on the Patreon. But in the meantime, we've got a whole bunch of action figures to talk about right here on YouTube. So let's talk about them. First up, we're going to start off with Marvel Legends with big-ish news, but not really. It's the Infinity Saga wave, the return of the Infinity Saga, the return of figures that we have already had before, plus a couple of new ones as well. We're going to take a quick look at them. These are all going to be available around about the fourth quarter of this year, going to be $24.99 each, and we're going to kick things off with the Black Widow. And yes, this is another figure with another Black Widow. We've got a lot of them, but also there have been some little tweaks here with this one. She's got double jointed elbows, which is nice. She's got some different wrist blasters, but really what sets this whole wave apart, for me, is the face sculpts. The look of the Chevy Chase. Not so much the sculpt, but the paint work, the dot work. I mean, this is Scarlett Johansson. Like, it's just beautifully done. I will bet dollars to donuts that no one is doing better face sculpts. Honestly, Mafex? Nope. Mezco? Nah. NECA? Bit too uncanny valley? Genuinely, whether you like Marvel Legends or you don't, or you think that they're nickel and diming people, which I think that they are, I can't fault the face sculpts, man. They just look gorgeous. And you got two of them here with the different Natasha hair. I think it looks really, really nice. Also, I gotta say, nothing here really gets me massively excited, but the fact that there's no Build-A-Figure attached, there's no sneaky sales techniques. You can buy them if you want, you can ignore them if you want. So that's something. But again, a lot of people have pointed out, and rightly so, we are getting less for more money, but that's where we are now. I don't like it though, don't get me wrong. But now we've got a brand new figure. Bruce Banner. Finally, we've actually got regular, civilian, depowered Bruce Banner. And again, just like Natasha, the face sculpt is beautiful. Done a really, really great job with this. Me personally, I wouldn't be desperate for a Mark Ruffalo figure. What we really need, honestly, is a savage MCU Hulk looking figure. Imagine if they did like the actual Incredible Hulk, the raging raw Incredible Hulk, as opposed to smart Hulk and just not exciting Hulk. I want a classic actual angry jade giant Hulk. Maybe one day. I know we've had old ones, but modern one. Come on. So yeah, you've got Mark Ruffalo there, but look at how empty that box looks. Nothing but air there. Nothing but air there. You put a big old box there and then there's a lot of negative space and it kind of points out what you're not getting. Don't worry though. I mean, McFarlane are the worst for that. McFarlane will do a huge big box with a little action figure in the middle and it's like, wow, that negative space could have really been used for anything. Nonetheless though, we've also got not Civil War, Winter Soldier. There you go. We've got Winter Soldier, Captain America. I think the face sculpts, again, are new. And again, they look great. I don't want to belabor the point too much. But also, look, it's great. It really, really is. I dig it. I love it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not being a Hasbro fanboy because I'm not going to buy any of these. I'm not an MCU person. And again, you are getting minimal accessories for a higher price. So it's not great, but it is what it is. Then you got the Iron Man as well. The 10 billionth version of Iron Man. Is this the Civil War Iron Man? I think it is. I'm sure it'll say on the box. But these are all figures for the collector who came in late to the game. And I will never, ever, ever have a problem with having evergreen figures on the shelf. So if someone has just discovered the MCU, then boom, they're here waiting for you. And then, of course, the other new release, I think, is Mark II Iron Man. And this is something that I think a lot of people have been wanting for a long time. So this is cool. And I like what they've done, the way it's got the little rivets and pins and joints and stuff. It looks exactly like that Mark II Iron Man should do. So if you're building your Hall of Armor, This is kind of an essential. If you want to have the full evolution of the Tony Stark MCU Iron Man armors, this is a big one here. So that's actually really cool to see, and I do like the unmasked faceplate up looking, head sculpt. That's good. I dig it. And then War Machine again, Civil War. Actually, you know what? I gotta slow down. I'm garbling my words. I don't know why I always feel like I'm in a hurry when I do this. I'm not. Let's enjoy it. We got Civil War Machine here. And it's another released version of this. I'm not gonna bore ya saying like, oh, it's got this and that. You've seen it. And that's where a few people have grumbles, especially with Spider-Man here. This is a literal downgrade of the original Spider-Man, because you got no web pattern painted on there. It's sculpted there, but it's not painted on there, and that's a real shame. The Tom Holland head is kind of nice, like that's good, but again, it is a step down from what you had before. The guys at Hasbro say that they can't afford to put the web lines in, and it's like, that sucks, because you know that it's not them making that decision. It's the bean counters in the office and in accounts saying, no, you can't have that. And it really sucks, because of course they can afford to do it. Of course they can afford to do it. They just don't want to. And therefore they're telling the poor guys at the Hasbro design team, no, you can't have that, because it's going to put too much. We would want more profit to ourselves. I know, amazing. A corporation wanting more profit? Who would have thought? But yeah, so it's kind of a shame. But yeah, I won't accept someone saying like, oh, we can't afford to do web lines. No. Just be honest. Say, the accounts team tell us that we're not allowed to put them on there because they want to maximize the profit by shortchanging the customer. Well, there you go. And then, of course, we got Thor as well. Thor looks fine in his sort of Thor 2 Avengers type armor. I can't place the exact movie. It'll probably say on the box, won't it? But yeah, the Chris Hemsworth face, again, the faces always look good. And he's got two. I kind of like the smiley sort of, kind of Thor look. It looks a little quirky. Thor the Dark World. Nice for Dark World to get some love. No one really gives Thor the Dark World love, so there you go. Getting it in the MCU action figures there. And that's the full wave. So again, you're not getting as much as you did before, and you're paying slightly more for it. But hey, if you're late to the party and you want to build up your MCU display, well, you can do a lot worse than these. But now, rather than getting less for more, you can get more for less with two new McFarlane releases from Injustice 2, the video game. $22.99 coming out in December. We get these two action figures. We've got Superman. We're going to look at him first, and then Brainiac. Superman. The Injustice designs, I always felt the characters were almost intentionally over-designed. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with these costumes. But McFarlane, the sculpting, they've put it together really, really well. There's one thing I'll always just find kind of egregious is the lack of thigh swivel on McFarlane figures. I know that a lot of folks don't like it. Obviously, Todd McFarlane doesn't like it, but I feel it's so intrinsic to me for action figures. I don't like when Mafex don't have thigh swivels. I find it just helps posing so much. And people say, oh, it breaks up the lines of the body and stuff. But I don't care. I just want more posing options and abilities. And also Spider-Man, what am I saying? Got Spider-Man on the brain. Superman, he still has the McFarlane diaper, which I still don't like the look of. And for whatever reason, I can't put my finger on it, but I think his face looks kind of piggyish. It's too, like, it's a very pink skin tone that he has. And I feel like, I don't know, his nose looks a little snouty. It's not a handsome looking Clark Kent, is what I'll say, which is a shame because dude's Superman. But look at it. That's not a handsome face right there. And also his hair looks like it's just this black kind of blob on his head, like he's had some tarmac poured on his head. So that's something I'm not overly keen of. But that notwithstanding, it's still a good looking sculpt on the body. It's got the metallic blue paint, which I really like. So there's a lot of good stuff going there. I'm just nitpicking. Because, I mean, hey, look, if you didn't want my 2 cents, what are you even doing watching this? You can just go to Toy Ark and look at these pictures, and then you don't have to put up with me yammering about them, but I like to think I had a little bit of flavor. So there's Superman there, and weirdly, the Superman on the back of the box is in a different costume, so I'm not sure who chose that picture. And then we got Brainiac. And Brainiac, I'm very impressed with. Also, my brain just goes, oof, Cosmic Legions, he'll go nicely in there. Big metallic robot alien looking character, boom, perfect. But yeah, he looks cool Man, I love the little Doc Ock style tendrils. The mech cyber kind of suit is good. I'm not entirely sold on his face sculpt. It looks a little kind of, I don't know, sort of mellow or just unusual. I mean, this is a fighting game, so I would want a bit more of a kind of look. But then again, I mean, Brainiac is a cerebral type character, so it does make sense that he'd be a bit more contemplative. I had to say that word very slowly to make sure I got it right. A contemplative look on Brainiac does make sense, but I always prefer a bit more kind of looking. But again, as a figure for $22.99 as well, lower than the Hasbro price point, you get a good chunky action figure bang for your buck there. So yeah, if you're a McFarlane fan, then these are going to be two good additions. If you have the kind of caveats with the figures that I do, not so much. But still, I'm genuinely pretty impressed with these. And sticking with McFarlane, we can't have McFarlane reveals without a couple of Batmen, so we've got the gold label Omega vs. Batman 2-pack, and this doesn't really do much for me. And guys, help me out, because you know my knowledge is, well, garbage to be honest, but these are both tarted up re-releases. Yeah, we've had versions of these characters before, and this is just a slight reiteration. Is that right? I think that's right. And they're going to be coming out around about November this year, I think, or actually even sooner, maybe October. Nonetheless, they're coming out soon, but the 2-pack's going to be $50. So that's cheaper than buying most figures brand new from McFarlane. They're normally about $22 each. So you're paying more to buy a 2-pack, which is something that never really jives with me. I was going to say drives, but that doesn't make sense. But it doesn't jive with me. That's what I think. I think, look at these figures and it's like, quit jiving me, turkey. Especially, it looks like Batman's been eating a turkey with some ketchup on it. He's got a little smudge of schmutz on his face. I know it's meant to be blood, but, I mean, you didn't really work too hard with that blood, did you there, McFarlane? You were like, well, we gotta differentiate this face a little bit. There you go. It just looks like he's been messily eating a hot dog. That's pretty much it. And then you've got the Omega white-haired dude face, which is, you know, it's fine. It is what it is. I do like the Batman design with the purple inside the cape. That kind of breaks up the colors a bit. This is obviously a very modern kind of Batman. Is this New 52? I don't know, DC. I can't keep up with you and your relaunches. Nonetheless, though, it's an okay looking 2-pack, but I struggle to say anything more than that because, like, there it is. Wow, that's great commentary, isn't it? That's why you come here. Back over to Hasbro, and this time it's Ahsoka getting all the action figures. And honestly, too many for me to individually talk about. If I try and run through all of them, we're going to be here forever. And, you know, that's what I say about model behavior. We're not here for a good time, but we're here for a long time. But I don't want to fall into that trap for this video. So if you want to take a close look at all of these different action figures, easy for me to say, only been covering them for like 3 years now. If you want to take a look at these action figures, Sean Connery style, then you can do. I go over to Toy Arc. They're my sort of main go-to website for all of this information. Probably shouldn't encourage that. Makes this whole channel kind of redundant. Nonetheless, there are some nice looking action figures, especially the Black Series. I'm not a Black Series collector, but I like to look at them and go like, huh, that looks kind of pretty. I haven't watched Ahsoka yet. I don't know if I'll dip my toe into it. I've been hearing mixed to good things, but she's certainly getting the merchandise. That's for sure. So you've got a whole bunch of vintage collection stuff, and you've also got the nice 1/12 scale action figures. That's always my personal bias there. It's like, oh, vintage are fine, but give me them 6-inch figures, baby. And there are some nice looking ones there, along with also a Hasbro helmet, a Mandalorian helmet. Can't remember the name of the character. I'm just doing this to the screen. I'm going to put up some pictures later to go with them. But again, another cosplay prop type 1-to-1 scale Mando type helmet. They do look good. I mean, if you had enough room in your house to display all the different Star Wars helmets, yeah, that would be awesome. You get a bunch of Ewoks in there, have a little bongo jamboree. Good times had by all. But yeah, for a closer look and the release dates and the prices, head on over to Toy Arc. They got you covered. Game Dimensions, who have made a couple of Tekken figures, have revealed a GameStop exclusive King figure. Now, they've already done Heihachi and... is it Kazuya? I forget. Nonetheless, we've had two. And now we've got a third. And he's a GameStop exclusive for $26.99. Apparently, this is going to be around about 7 or 8 inches tall, so maybe more your McFarlane Storm Collectibles sort of scale of figure. But I'm a big mark for King, because he's a pro wrestler, a Mexican pro wrestler no less, with the Jaguar mask. It is a Jaguar, isn't it? I think this looks kind of nice. I'm not too sure about the giant ab chest crunch. It's kind of a big... It's an interesting way of doing a figure. I don't think I've seen a figure with such a high ab crunch before. It's not an ab crunch, it's a chest crunch. It's a bit unusual. But the rest of him looks kind of nice, except for looking at this picture right here. The wrist pegs with the hands, like... Look at the gap. That looks really weird. It looks like he's got an Inspector Gadget go-go extending punch type thing happening there. Can you not put that flush against the wrist? If you can't, that would really bug me. That would annoy me. He's got some nice little power effects there you can see as well. It's kind of fun. Looking at this picture, I can hear the sound effects of the growling and the roaring from Tekken. Kind of ridiculous, but my brain just puts that together. But yeah, at this kind of pose, you can see the wrist doesn't look so bad. But in that one picture before, it looked really egregious. Still, yeah, looking at it straight on, it seems like there is a bit of a gap there with the hand and the wrist. So they maybe could have fine-tuned that a little bit. But still, you got the power effect, the stand, the different hands. So at least they mix it up a little bit. So this figure looks like... It looks like the start of a line where they're like prototyping different things, but they haven't quite found that good groove yet. A few more things to iron out, a few more kinks to work out. In the meantime, though, it's a King figure from Tekken, so I automatically do kind of like it. Over to NECA with their Mirage Turtle figures now. $37.99, available in October. You're gonna get Mirage Comics Splinter. And this... I love them. NECA, guys, if you're watching, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're all massive Model Behaviour fans, you bunch of marks. I love what you guys are doing with all of your Ninja Turtle stuff. Every time I see a new release, I'm like, golly, that looks pretty. This Splinter's no exception. Because Splinter himself is quite a small character, he comes with a whole bunch of stuff. You've got an Utrom, you've got 4 baby turtles, you got a teapot, a mouser, some mutagen. There's a lot of great stuff. Look at this overall package here. I always say package because that's how Mean Gene Okerlund used to say the total package Lex Luger in WCW in the 90s. I have a stupid brain. But yes, this total package right here, it looks terrific. And then with the NECA photography, with the lighting, the background, the dioramas, it just looks the bomb. Plus Splinter, he's got the nice soft goods kimono as well, so it feels like a little bit of extra zhuzh. A little bit of extra zhuzh type quality here. And with the prices of figures racking up and up and up, yes, this is more expensive than the other figures I've covered. More expensive than King from Tekken or the Marvel Legends or the McFarlane. But you see the overall value that you get with all the beautiful accessories, the cloth goods, the diorama pieces. That stuff adds up, man. It adds up. I don't mind paying an extra $10 for a figure that's really nice, because that way I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. Like, yes, I forked over a few dollars more, but dang it, you get something that you can really love. Dude, I want that couch. I want the 1/12 scale couch that he's sitting on. That's going to be a fun little dio piece there. But yeah, this Splinter, I think of all the reveals for this episode, that's what I'm most impressed with. He would be if it weren't for the next one I'm about to cover. And that next one is the Super 7 Ultimates Mars Attacks figures. Oh my god! Have you guys seen these? Well, you have now. $55, the standard Ultimates price, coming out in about a year's time. Gonna have a little bit of a wait on these guys, but these look awesome. So much freaky, creepy detail going on with them. So you got the perfect, ready for battle Martian, and then you got the messed up Martian. And I was always fascinated as a kid by these Mars Attacks trading cards because, yeah, they came out in the 60s, from what I understand, and they're just grim, gruesome. I was going to say, back in the good old days when you could do these things, but actually this was during the height of like the Comics Code Authority witch hunt, McCarthyism, crackdown type thing, so it's surprising that Mars Attacks was a thing back in those days, but they're a thing in these days too, and these look they just look the bomb. So gnarly. It kind of reminds me of Marvel Legends Frogman, all those green extra hands. Or Red Skull. Regardless, though, we're not talking about them. We're talking about these guys. And really, again, kind of like Brainiac, I would want to throw this guy in with my Cosmic Legions. That would be so much fun. I love it because also Super 7, they're very good with like sort of bold, cartoony kind of looks, which this is. It's bold and over the top and kind of silly, but look at that gnarly dome smashed, brain missing, tooth, eyeball out there. It's gross, but it's gross in a kind of kids, 80s, garbage pail kids, gross out children sort of humor. And I love that. I keep saying, like, oh, this might be my first Super 7. Just like, oh, this might be my first Dragon Ball character. But genuinely, this might be my first Super 7. Because looking at these guys, so much fun. So bright, bold, colorful, and ridiculous. Mars Attacks, I think you might have got me with this one. I really do. Going back over to McFarlane, Target exclusive Supergirl has had a preview picture. And look, the preview pictures are always going to look great because it's photography and CGI and lighting and all that stuff to make them look super pretty. That notwithstanding, though, sorry, I was stifling a hiccup there. That notwithstanding, though, I'm not going to edit that, she does look really pretty. Again, just looking at this, the face sculpt looks real nice. The flowing hair, the cape, is that a soft goods cape? It certainly looks like it. That's always going to add a little bit of extra value there. This is your most classic looking Supergirl. To me, to my eye, this is what I envision Supergirl as. This is like the 1980s Supergirl movie costume design, and I dig it. I really, really do. So obviously, you know, the way that things go with McFarlane, they've done the preview. So in a day or two, we're going to get the full reveal pictures, and we can take a more analytical kind of look at it. But at the moment, from what I can see, I think she looks real pretty. So yeah, another win for McFarlane. McFarlane, you know what? You're doing okay. Still don't really like your style, but you're doing okay. SH Figure Arts are going into Nier Automata territory with a, is it 9B? Is that the figure? I can't even remember the name. It's always a letter and a number. I played Nier Automata, but I couldn't really get into it as much as people were kind of encouraging me to. I think I got about 75% through the first campaign, and I was like, apparently you got to play this 4 times to get the full story. I don't think I want to finish it once. I'm good. I'm done. And that's not knocking it. That's not saying it's bad. It's just that my ADHD-riddled brain just couldn't jive with it. There you go. I used jive correctly the first time there. But this Figure Arts figure does look pretty. Going to be about 8,000 yen, which equates to about 60 bucks, or maybe even less than that with the current exchange rate going on. Thank goodness I get paid in US dollars. Whew. So yeah, we've got 9B here. I'm going to say 9B. I think that's the name. And yeah, very pretty, as you would come to expect from SH Figure Arts. So Nier Automata, this is going to be released around about February of next year. And of course, there's a whole host of characters. You got the other one there, the more sort of classic, this is what you see everyone cosplaying as, this girl here. Couldn't tell you what her name is, another letter and a number, I'm sure. But nonetheless, with the little robot thing as well, that looks kind of cool. It's a pretty looking action figure. Still not going to finish the game though. Speaking of video games, Good Smile Company are doing Ivar from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. There you go, got all the facts right there. Going to be about 90 bucks, coming out around about this time next year. So you got a whole bunch of time to save up for him. But he's going to be about 6.3 inches tall, so going to fit kind of nicely in with your 1/12 scale figures. He's got a great, just Viking, Thor type look to him. I haven't played Assassin's Creed. Again, not really my cup of tea. I didn't like the whole Animus thing where you're in the past but it's not really happening, it's virtual reality. I'm like, nah, this whole concept is a bit too clever for its own good. Just I couldn't buy into it. But there you go, that's my little Assassin's Creed review right there. I mean, people love the game, so there you go, they're doing something right. And Good Smile seem to be doing something right with this action figure as well. He looks pretty, man. But then again, he's going to be expensive as well. 90 bucks for a, 6.3 inch figure. It's a lot of money for a small figure. But then again, I'm the king. I'm the king of loving expensive figures that maybe you pay a lot for and you don't get that much. But I'm impressed by pretty things. I can't help it. I'm an emotional creature. I just go with what I see, and this looks like a very pretty package here. I don't need an Assassin's Creed Viking, but if you do, then you can start saving now. In a year's time, boom, 90 bucks, no problem. Kyo Kusanagi from King of the Fighters has had all of his reveal pictures put out now by Storm Collectibles, and it looks like your typical Storm Collectors fighting game figure, which means pretty damn good. But I have no connection or attachment to this character. I've never played King of the Fighters, never seen this guy before, but if you have and you want to add him to your fighting game collection, then you go for it. I got to admit, when I first spoke about this figure, when we had the one preview picture to go off of, I was schwitzing and complaining, as you know I'm off to do here at Model Behaviour, and I was like, why can't we complete lines before you start making more? Why can't we finish Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat? And a lot of people, rightfully so, said, hey, you know what, Dave? Slow your roll and hold your horses right there. I actually like the fact that Storm Collectibles takes so long putting figures out because it gives me a chance to actually save up for them. So you know what? I do appreciate that. Might be like a bit of a monkey's paw wish if it was ever granted. I'd be like, we're finally getting all these figures. And it's like, whoa, wait, slow down. I can't afford all of these in one go. So God bless you, Storm, for giving us a chance to save up for the figures that we want before you release them. So if you're a King of the Fighters person, then you're going to have Kyo Kusanagi right here with his beautiful looking, admittedly, beautiful looking flame effects. Going to be about 84 bucks. Coming out around about the middle of next year. I think it's going to be, stop me if I'm wrong, I might have to stop myself. Nonetheless, though, you can check your big bad toy stores. You can see when he's coming out. I can't do all the work for you. Nonetheless, though, all I'm saying, Storm, take your time, put out whatever you want, but for the love of goodness, can we just get Streets of Rage Blaze, please? That's all I want now. That's all I want. And going super high-end now, we're getting the Praetorian Guard from the Mandalorian from good old Hot Toys. If there's a Star Wars character, you better believe they're making a hot toy of it. And this guy, again, just looks super pretty. I do like the design. They're going very Roman Centurion with the helmet design there. I've not watched Season 3 of The Mandalorian. I've heard enough reviews to think, I could probably find better uses of my time, but some of the designs do look cool, and this is one of them. Yeah, if I'm going to go back to a Star Wars property, it'll be Ahsoka. I'll watch that before Season 3 of The Mandalorian. I think that's kind of passed us by now. But yeah, this guy's wicked. Going to be available around about this time next year. It says the 3rd and 4th quarters of 2024. And of course, you can see like they're tempting you here. You can't just get one. You got to get a whole entourage of these guys to take on the Mandalorians, and honestly, a whole bunch of them would look amazing, but considering that he's probably going to be at least a couple $100, probably more, that's going to run expensive pretty quick. But then again, look, there are worse things to spend your money on. I've never seen that weird segmented lightsaber sword looking thing. That's kind of awesome. I mean, whether you like the new Star Wars shows or you don't, there's a lot of wicked design going on there, and that's kind of cool. So yeah, Praetorian Guard. I won't get him, but dang it, he does look pretty. Fresh Monkey Fiction, Operation Monster Force, Dr. Caligari, Master of Nightmares. I almost managed to say all of those words together without having to read them off the screen, but I just stumbled at the end there. Nonetheless, though, Operation Monster Force still killing the game. This guy, available for pre-order right now from Big Bad Toy Store, $36.99. If you love your G.I. Joes, but you just want something a little more supernatural and even more zhuzhed up than a lot of your G.I. Joes, which are already very zhuzhed up. How much zhuzh do you need? Well, you can get this guy here. It's a mad scientist type character with a floating brain in a jar. Yes, I'm sold already. So I really want some of these figures, but being over here on this side of the world, it would cost a lot to ship them in. So I'll enjoy them from afar. But what I love is just seeing the Monster Force reveals, because every time I do, you got the full backstory, history, write-up of the characters. The lore is so deep. I love the passion that goes into making these things. That's where I kind of roll my eyes a little bit sometimes when I see some Marvel Legends and I feel like, you're just making these for the sake of making them, just like, farting them out of a factory. Whereas then bespoke, smaller, creator-controlled properties like this, you see the love that has gone into every little detail and every little facet of it, and the backstory and the history and the accessories. And I'm like, this is what action figures should be. I hope that they're actually good in hand. I assume they are. Otherwise, that'd be a lot of hyperbole for nothing. But I don't doubt that these are fantastic. One of these days, I'll get my hands on one and I'll see what it's actually like in person. In the meantime, though, I'm going to really enjoy covering the reveals. And folks, that does it for action figure news for today, but we're not done with good news. If you want to go see the second half over on Patreon, you can do by signing up there, and you're going to have me talk about pro wrestling, comic books, video games, movies, and all points in between, including the little store tour that I did of Adamski, which is my favorite second-hand action figure store in Osaka that I go to every week because there's always something new in there. This time, a crazy collection of Batman The Dark Knight 1990s action figures. I just had to do a deep dive on all of them. So go over to Patreon to watch that, but if you're just watching here on YouTube on the free feed, I was talking too quickly there, jumbled my words. Not going to edit this. Nonetheless though, as I'm saying, thank you so much for your support, watching this video, watching the channel. It means the world to me. So gang, thank you for that. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Big time.